The grand hall of the Galactic Council gleamed with blue light. Tall windows showed the stars and 3 moons outside. Ambassador Thorn walked slowly to the center of the room. His blue skin looked pale, and his 4 arms trembled as he stood before the council members. "Esteemed council," Thorn said, his voice breaking, "the Stellan people are dying. The Dravik Empire attacks our worlds without mercy. We are peaceful. We have no weapons to match theirs. We beg for your help." The council hall fell silent. 12 alien leaders sat in a half-circle, their faces showing different emotions. Some looked sad, others looked away, and a few showed no feeling at all. High Elder Vox, the oldest member of the council, stood up, his gray skin wrinkled as he frowned. "Ambassador Thorn, the council feels great sadness for the Stellan people," he said, "but we cannot interfere in this conflict. Our ancient laws forbid direct intervention in wars between sovereign powers." Thorn's large eyes widened in disbelief. "But they kill our children. They burn our cities. They take our resources and leave nothing but ash. Is this the justice your council stands for?" Another council member, Representative Orla, spoke next. Her voice was soft but firm. "The Dravik Empire has assured us they only seek to expand into unclaimed territories. They claim the Stellans attacked first." "Lies," Thorn shouted, forgetting proper council manners. "They lie to justify their violence. We are scholars and farmers. We have never attacked anyone." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. No one wanted to challenge the Dravik Empire. Their warships were the most powerful in 3 sectors of the galaxy. "I am sorry, Ambassador," High Elder Vox said, "but the council has voted. We cannot help you." Thorn's shoulders dropped. He had failed. His people would die. As he turned to leave, an idea came to him. A desperate, dangerous idea based on old stories. "What about the humans?" he asked suddenly. The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers. High Elder Vox's face paled. "You would bring humans into this conflict?" he asked, his voice sharp with fear. "They are savages, dangerous, unpredictable. They are warriors," Thorn replied. "And we need warriors now." Representative Orla stepped forward. "The humans have not left their solar system in over 50 years. They retreated after the Accord Wars. They want nothing to do with galactic politics. But they still exist," Thorn said, "and they might help us." High Elder Vox shook his head. "Ambassador Thorn, listen to reason. Humans do not understand restraint in warfare. If you bring them into this conflict, they will not stop at defending your worlds. They will bring total war to the Dravik." "Good," Thorn said, his voice hard. "That is exactly what we need." 3 days later, Ambassador Thorn stood in the ancient archives beneath the Stellan capital city. Most of the city above lay in ruins from Dravik bombing, but the underground archives remained safe. For now. "Are you sure about this, Ambassador?" asked Lena, the chief archivist. Her blue skin looked almost white in the dim light of the archives. "The Council has forbidden contact with Earth. The Council has abandoned us to die," Thorn replied as he searched through the old star charts. "We have nothing to lose." Lena typed rapidly on a glowing panel. "I found something. The Earth system coordinates and old communication protocols. But Ambassador, the stories about humans. Are they true?" Thorn asked. "Are they really as fierce as the legends say?" Lena pulled up ancient video footage on a large screen. The footage showed humans in primitive battle armor, fighting against forces twice their size. Despite being outnumbered and using simpler weapons, the humans fought with shocking intensity. "This is from the Accord Wars," Lena explained. "The only time humans fought in space. They were attacked by the Merc Collective, who thought humans would be easy to conquer. The footage showed human ships, damaged and burning, ramming into much larger enemy vessels. They won?" Thorn asked. "Yes," Lena said quietly. "The Merc Collective no longer exists, After the humans won, they returned to their planet and closed their borders. They wanted nothing more to do with the galaxy. Thorn watched the footage with a mixture of hope and fear. Send the message to Earth. Tell them everything about the Dravik. Show them what is happening to our people. Ambassador, Lena warned, if we do this, we break galactic law. If we don't, Thorn replied, there will be no Stellans left to punish. On Earth, Admiral James Wilson stood at the window of Space Command headquarters. He watched the sunrise over the Rocky Mountains, a cup of coffee cooling in his hand. After 30 years in service, he had hoped to retire soon. Those hopes vanished when the alien message arrived yesterday. The door opened behind him. General Kate Rivera entered, carrying a tablet. The president has called an emergency meeting, she said without greeting. The cabinet is reviewing the Stellan message now. James nodded. And your assessment? Kate's face was grim. The Stellans are losing badly. Based on the footage they sent, I'd say they have weeks, maybe a month before total defeat. And this Dravik Empire? James asked. What do we know about them? Aggressive expansionists, advanced technology, no concept of civilian casualties or war crimes. Kate swiped through images on her tablet. They've destroyed 3 Stellan worlds already. Billions dead. James turned from the window. And why should Earth get involved? We closed our borders for good reasons. 2 reasons, Kate replied. First, the Draviks are working through this sector systematically. If they finish with the Stellans, we're potentially next in line, even if it takes them decades to get here. And second, Kate showed him footage of Stellan children being loaded onto Dravik ships as slaves. Because we're human, she said simply. And we don't let this happen when we can stop it. James set down his coffee cup. The Security Council meets in 1 hour. We'll need to convince them quickly. The Earth Security Council chamber was smaller than the Galactic Council Hall, but no less tense. 12 human leaders from different nations sat around a circular table, reviewing the Stellan message. President Garcia of the United American States spoke first. Admiral Wilson, General Rivera, you've reviewed the Stellan request. Give us your assessment. James stepped forward. Madam President, Council members, the Stellan civilization faces extinction. They're peaceful, with minimal military capacity. The Dravik Empire is systematically destroying their worlds, taking resources and enslaving survivors. And you believe we should intervene? Asked Premier Lai of the Eastern Alliance. I believe we must, James replied firmly. This is not just about the Stellans. Intelligence suggests the Dravik will continue expanding. Earth could eventually be targeted. Chancellor Adeyemi of the African Union leaned forward. We closed our borders after the Accord Wars for a reason. We wanted no part in galactic conflicts. With respect, Chancellor, Kate said, isolation was always temporary. We needed time to build our strength, not hide forever. If we help the Stellans, President Garcia asked, what would that entail? James took a deep breath. Total commitment. We can't fight a limited war against an enemy like the Dravik. If we decide to help, we go all in. The room fell silent as each leader considered the implications. A vote then, President Garcia said finally. All in favor of answering the Stellan call for aid. One by one, hands raised around the table. The vote was unanimous. Admiral Wilson, President Garcia said, you have your orders. Prepare Earth's forces for war. James nodded grimly. Yes, Madam President. The Dravik wanted easy prey. Instead, they'll learn what happens when humanity brings total war. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Stellan system. 50 warships, led by the massive carrier Defiance, took formation in the black void of space. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Mark Reynolds watched as the main screen showed the devastation ahead. The 3rd planet of the Stellan system was burning. Huge clouds of smoke covered entire continents. Dravik warships circled the planet like hungry sharks, their dark metal hulls reflecting the fires below. "My God," Mark whispered. The bridge crew stood in silence, watching the destruction. Admiral James stepped onto the bridge, his face grim. "Status report, Captain. We count 37 Dravik ships in orbit, sir," Mark replied. "Most are smaller attack craft, but those 5 larger vessels appear to be their main battleships." James nodded. "And the Stellans?" Lieutenant Wilson at the sensor station looked up. "We're detecting Stellan life signs on the southern continent, Admiral. They've established some kind of shield over their last major city, but it's failing. I'd estimate they have hours, maybe a day before it collapses." "Then we have no time to waste," James said. He pressed a button on the command console. "All ships, this is Admiral Wilson. The Dravik have no idea we're here. Let's use that advantage. Battle Group Alpha will target their 3 easternmost battleships. Battle Group Beta, with me, will hit their command ship. Captain Reynolds, you'll lead Battle Group Gamma to break through to the surface and establish contact with the Stellans." Mark nodded. "Yes, sir." "Remember," James said to the entire fleet, "the Dravik have better technology, but they've never fought humans before. They don't know what we're capable of. Let's show them." On the bridge of the Dravik command ship Executor, Commander Vril was growing impatient. The Stellan shield still held after 3 days of bombardment. "Increase firepower," he ordered. "I want that shield down by nightfall." "Commander," his sensor officer called out, "we're detecting energy signatures at the edge of the system. Many ships just appeared." Vril frowned. "More Stellan ships. They have no military fleet." "No, sir. Unknown design." "There." The sensor officer paused, confused. "Sir, they're approaching at full speed. Attack formation." Vril smiled, showing sharp teeth. "So the Stellans found allies after all. Interesting. Identify them." The communication officer worked frantically at his console. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the lead ship." "Put it through," Vril ordered. The main screen flickered, showing the human face. Admiral James Wilson stared coldly at the Dravik commander. "This is Admiral James Wilson of Earth. You are attacking a peaceful civilization that has asked for our protection. Withdraw your forces immediately, or face the consequences." Vril laughed. "Earth, the isolated world. We've heard of you, humans. You hid in your little system for decades, and now you think you can challenge the Dravik Empire." James didn't smile. "You have 1 minute to begin your withdrawal." "Or what?" Vril sneered. "Or we remove you." The transmission cut off. Vril turned to his weapons officer. "Target those human ships. Show them what happens when someone threatens the Dravik Empire." Exactly 1 minute later, the human fleet attacked. The Dravik expected a traditional approach, careful, measured, at a distance. Instead, the human ships accelerated to maximum speed, charging directly at the Dravik formation. "They're insane," Commander Vril shouted as he watched the human ships weave through energy blasts. "No civilized species fights like this." Battle Group Alpha hit the 3 eastern Dravik battleships with everything they had. Missiles, railguns, and energy weapons fired simultaneously. The first Dravik battleship, caught by surprise, exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Battle Group Beta, led by Admiral James, took a different approach. Instead of targeting the Dravik command ship's weapons, they aimed for its engines. The massive ship lost power and began to drift. Meanwhile, Captain Mark Reynolds led Battle Group Gamma in a desperate dive toward the planet's surface. 6 human ships against 12 Dravik interceptors. Evasive maneuvers, Mark ordered as energy blasts streaked past his ship. "Don't let them predict our course." The human pilots flew in patterns no computer could anticipate. They spun, dived, and accelerated randomly. The Dravik ships, relying on targeting computers, couldn't keep up with the unpredictable movements. "Sir, we've broken through their line," Lieutenant Emma Parker reported from the pilot's seat. We have a clear path to the surface. Mark nodded. Take us down, Lieutenant. Right to the edge of that shield. Inside the last Stellan city, Ambassador Thorn watched the battle in orbit with growing hope. The shields were at 12% power. They would fail within hours. Then his aide rushed into the command center. Ambassador, unknown ships have landed outside the shield perimeter. They're asking to speak with you. Thorn hurried to the city's edge. Through the fading blue shield, he saw 6 strange ships. They were smaller than Dravik vessels, darker in color, with sharp angles instead of smooth curves. A group of beings emerged from the lid ship. They walked on 2 legs, with 2 arms, like many species in the galaxy. But something about them was different. They moved with purpose, with an intensity Thorn had never seen before. One of them approached the shield. It was Captain Mark Reynolds, though Thorn didn't know his name yet. Are you the Stellan leader? Mark asked through a translator. I am Ambassador Thorn, he replied. Are you humans? Mark nodded. We are. We received your message. We're here to help. Thorn felt his 4 arms tremble with emotion. You came. You actually came. We need to lower this shield, Mark said. Just enough for us to bring in personnel and equipment. But the Dravik are busy with our fleet, Mark finished for him. We don't have much time. Thorn gave the order. A small section of the shield opened, and the humans entered the city. Professor Alan Wright was among the first humans to enter the Stellan city. While the military personnel set up defenses, Alan worked with Stellan scientists to understand Dravik technology. Their ships have a central power core, a Stellan engineer explained, showing Alan captured Dravik schematics. It powers everything: weapons, shields, engines. Alan studied the designs carefully. And it's connected to all systems directly. No backups or redundancies. The Stellan looked confused. Why would they need backups? Their technology is superior to anything in the galaxy. Alan smiled. Superior, maybe, but not very practical in war. In human military design, we assume components will fail in battle. We build redundancies into everything. He pointed to a section of the schematic. This power distribution node, if we could hit it with an electromagnetic pulse, it would disable the entire ship, the Stellan finished, eyes wide with realization. In orbit, the battle had turned chaotic. The Dravik, initially shocked by human tactics, were now responding with overwhelming firepower. 3 human ships had been destroyed, and several others damaged. On the crippled Dravik command ship, Commander Vril watched with growing rage. Send a message to all human vessels, he ordered. Tell them this is their only warning. Leave this system immediately, or we will destroy their homeworld next. The message was transmitted to the Defiance. Admiral James read it, then turned to his communication officer. Send our response. On the Dravik command ship, Vril received the human reply. It was brief. The United Earth government formally declares a state of total war against the Dravik Empire. There will be no terms except your unconditional surrender. Vril stared at the message in disbelief. Then he began to laugh. They think they can wage war against the entire Dravik Empire. Let them try. When we're finished, there won't be a single human left alive in the galaxy. What Vril didn't understand, what no one in the galaxy truly understood yet, was exactly what humans meant by total war. They were about to learn. 1 month after the human fleet arrived at the Stellan system, the Dravik launched their big attack. 200 warships jumped into the system at once, their dark hulls gleaming against the stars. This was not just a battle force. This was the 3rd fleet of the Dravik Empire, one of their most powerful military units. Admiral James stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the enemy ships form up. They're confident, General Kate said as she joined him. She had arrived with reinforcements from Earth last week. James nodded. They should be. They outnumber us 3-1, and their technology is still better than ours. But they don't know what we've been doing this past month. Kate said with a small smile. James turned to his communications officer. Signal all ships. Operation Shadow begins now. In the vast space between planets, human ships scattered in what looked like panic. The Dravik fleet commander, Grand Admiral Krell, watched with satisfaction. The humans run already, he said to his officers. Pursue and destroy them all. The Dravik ships surged forward, chasing the seemingly retreating humans. What they didn't know was that the humans were not retreating. They were executing a carefully planned strategy. As the Dravik ships moved deeper into the system, small objects that had been hidden among the debris of previous battles suddenly activated. These were mines, but not ordinary explosives. Each contained a powerful electromagnetic pulse generator, designed by Professor Allen based on Dravik technology. Now, Admiral James commanded. Across the battlefield, hundreds of EMP mines detonated simultaneously. Waves of energy washed over the Dravik ships. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, Dravik ships began to lose power. Their engines died. Weapons systems failed. Communications went silent. Not all ships were affected. The Dravik had shielding that protected many vessels. But nearly 70 ships, a third of their fleet, drifted helplessly in space. All attack wings, engage targets, James ordered. Capture teams, move in. Human ships swarmed toward the disabled Dravik vessels. While fighter squadrons kept the functioning Dravik ships busy, special teams boarded the powerless ships to capture them. On the Stellan homeworld, Lieutenant Emma Parker led a different kind of battle. She had spent weeks training Stellan civilians in guerrilla warfare. Now they put those lessons to use. A Dravik ground force had landed in the northern forests, trying to establish a base behind enemy lines. Instead of meeting them with direct force, Emma's mixed human Stellan teams struck from hiding, then melted back into the dense forest. Remember, Emma told her Stellan fighters, the Dravik expect enemies to either face them directly or run away. They don't understand hiding and striking from behind. One Stellan, a teacher named Milo before the war, looked troubled. This feels wrong, like there is no honor in it. Emma shook her head. In war, the only honor is in winning while losing as few of your people as possible. The Dravik don't care about honor when they bomb your cities. Milo thought about this, then nodded slowly. I understand now. We fight not for glory, but for survival. Exactly, Emma said. Now let's show them what happens when they invade our forests. By the end of the day, the Dravik force was in chaos. They couldn't find their attackers. They couldn't secure their perimeter. And their commander couldn't explain to his superiors why a simple mission was failing so badly. In orbit, Professor Allen worked frantically in a captured Dravik cruiser. Human engineers swarmed through the ship, studying everything they could. The power core is unlike anything we've seen, Allen told Admiral James through a video link. It's at least 3 generations ahead of our technology. Can we replicate it? James asked. Not quickly, Allen admitted. But we've learned enough to modify our shields and weapons to better match theirs. Give me another week, and I can improve our fleet's effectiveness by at least 40%. James nodded. Good work. What about their communication systems? Allen's face lit up. That's where we've had the biggest breakthrough. The Dravik use a quantum entanglement system for instant communication across star systems. We've captured enough equipment to start monitoring their command channels. You mean we can listen to their orders? James asked, his eyes widening. Even better, Allen replied. Given time, we might be able to send false orders. In the Grand Council chamber of the Dravik Empire, far from the Stellan system, Supreme Commander Vrock slammed his fist on the table. How is this possible? He demanded. How can these humans challenge us? They are primitive. Their technology is inferior. Their numbers are small. Grand Admiral Krell, speaking via hologram from the front lines, looked uncomfortable. Supreme Commander, the humans do not fight. Normally. Explain, Vrock demanded. They do not follow standard battle doctrines, Krell said. When we expect them to attack, they hide. When we expect them to defend, they strike at our supply lines instead. They fight with no pattern we can predict. Another council member spoke up. Our intelligence suggests they are adapting our own technology for their use. The captured ships should have self-destructed. Vrock interrupted. Why did the fail-safes not activate? The humans somehow disabled them, Krell admitted. And there's something else. The Stellans are fighting alongside them now. Not just as allies, but using human tactics. Vrock's eyes narrowed. These humans are becoming more than a nuisance. They are becoming a threat. He turned to his war minister. How long until the First and Second Fleets can join the Third at the front? 3 weeks, Supreme Commander. Too long, Vrock said. Send the order. The Third Fleet will launch an all-out attack immediately. I want these humans crushed before they can spread their influence further. At an emergency session of the Galactic Council, High Elder Vox listened to reports with growing concern. The conflict has escalated beyond all expectations, a scout reported. The Dravik have committed their Third Fleet, and rumors say the First and Second are mobilizing. And the humans? Representative Orla asked. The scout hesitated. They fight like nothing we've seen before. They've turned the Stellan system into a fortress. They've armed the Stellans, and they've begun raiding Dravik supply lines in neighboring systems. High Elder Vox closed his eyes briefly. This is what I feared. The humans do not understand limited warfare. For them, war means total commitment. Should we intervene now? Another council member asked. Vox shook his head. It's too late. The humans would see us as enemies if we tried to stop them. All we can do is watch, and hope they remember mercy when victory comes. Back on the Stellan homeworld, Admiral James addressed a mixed group of human and Stellan officers. The next Dravik attack will be their biggest yet, he told them. They're committing everything they have in this sector. Can we hold? Ambassador Thorn asked. James looked at the battle plans displayed before them. Plans based on Earth's long history of warfare. We won't just hold, James said firmly. We're going to break them. He turned to a display showing Earth's factories, now running day and night producing weapons and ships. The Dravik think this is just another border skirmish, James continued. They don't understand yet. Earth is not sending a battle group. Earth is not sending aid. His eyes hardened. Earth is going to war. The entire planet is mobilizing. The Stellans looked at each other in amazement. Your whole civilization? Thorn asked in disbelief. But you have billions of people, millions of ships, thousands of worlds. One world, James corrected. Earth stands alone in our system. And yes, our entire civilization is now on a war footing. The Dravik wanted a fight. He smiled grimly. We're going to give them one they'll never forget. 3 months into the war, Earth had changed. Factories that once made cars now built tanks and fighters. Shipyards that once launched cruise ships now produced warships. Every resource, every industry, every mind was focused on one goal: victory over the Dravik. President Garcia stood in the global war room, surrounded by screens showing production numbers, battle reports, and casualty figures. The room was filled with military officers and government officials from around the world. The third wave of ships is ready, Defense Minister Patel reported. 217 vessels, including 30 heavy carriers and 15 dreadnoughts. How soon can they reach the front? President Garcia asked. 10 days at maximum speed, Madam President. Garcia nodded. And the special projects? Project Thunderbolt is ready for deployment. Science Director Foster said. The prototype weapons have been installed on the Avenger and the Vengeance. If they work as expected, they can disable Dravik shields in seconds. Good, Garcia said. We need every advantage. The Dravik still outnumber us. A young officer rushed into the room. Madam President, Urgent message from Admiral James. Garcia turned. What is it? The officer's face was pale. The Dravik have discovered the location of Earth. Their first fleet has broken away from the front. Intelligence estimates they'll reach our system in 2 weeks. The room fell silent. Then Garcia straightened her back. So they want to bring the fight to us, she said calmly. Let them come. In deep space, Captain Mark Reynolds sat in the command chair of his new ship, the Phantom. The sleek vessel was unlike anything humans had built before. Its hull was black as night, designed to absorb rather than reflect light and sensor readings. Its engines were modified Dravik technology, faster and more powerful than standard human drives. All systems ready, Captain, his first officer reported. Mark nodded. Begin operation. The Phantom and 5 similar ships activated their cloaking systems, another technology adapted from captured Dravik ships. They slipped silently into hyperspace, headed for the heart of Dravik territory. Their mission was the most dangerous of the war so far, to penetrate Dravik defenses, locate their central command ship, and capture it intact. Success seemed impossible, but humans specialized in achieving the impossible. On the Stellan homeworld, Professor Allen worked with a team of human and Stellan scientists in a vast underground lab. The walls were covered with diagrams of Dravik technology. In the center of the room stood a large device that pulsed with blue energy. The quantum decoder is ready, Allen announced to General Kate, who had come to inspect their progress. Will it work? She asked. Allen smiled. It already is working. We're intercepting their entire command network. Every order, every report, every communication between Dravik ships. Kate's eyes widened. Can they detect it? No, Allen said confidently. We're only listening, not sending. But, he hesitated. But what? We could send, Allen said quietly. We could issue false orders, create confusion, make their ships attack each other. Kate stared at the machine. How soon can you make that happen? 3 days. Maybe 2 if we work nonstop. Do it, Kate ordered. This could change everything. The first fleet of the Dravik Empire moved through hyperspace toward Earth. 500 warships, led by the massive super dreadnought Annihilator, prepared to strike humanity's homeworld. Fleet Master Drav, one of the highest-ranking Dravik commanders, stood on the bridge of the Annihilator, reviewing battle plans. The humans have left their homeworld vulnerable, he told his officers. Their main forces are committed to defending the Stellan system. We will strike directly at Earth, destroy their ability to make war, and end this conflict. What resistance should we expect? Fleet Master, his second-in-command asked. Minor defenses only, Drav replied confidently. Our spies report they have perhaps 50 ships protecting their planet. The humans never expected us to find them so quickly. The Dravik intelligence was correct. Only 48 human ships orbited Earth. What the Dravik didn't know was that these were not ordinary vessels. When the Dravik First Fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system, they found Earth's small defensive fleet waiting for them. Fleet Master Drav laughed when he saw the human formation. They send so few to face us, he said. Begin the attack. No mercy. The Dravik ships surged forward, weapons powering up. Then something unexpected happened. The human ships activated strange devices mounted on their hulls. Waves of energy pulsed outward, washing over the leading Dravik vessels. On the bridge of the Annihilator, alarms blared. Fleet Master, a tactical officer shouted. Our shields, they're failing. Impossible, Trav roared. But it was happening. Project Thunderbolt worked exactly as designed. The special weapons fired concentrated bursts of energy at precisely the frequency needed to disrupt Dravik shield technology. The human ships then fired their main weapons. Without shields, the first wave of Dravik ships exploded in balls of fire and debris. Fleet Master Drav stared in shock. Fall back and regroup, he ordered. Adjust shield frequencies. As the Dravik fleet scrambled to respond, More human ships appeared from behind Mars and Jupiter's moons. Earth's defenders had hidden reserves, waiting to spring the trap. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity was fighting for its very survival. Deep in Dravik territory, the Phantom and its sister ships approached the massive space station that served as the headquarters for the Dravik Third Fleet. Captain Mark Reynolds watched the station grow larger on the view screen. "Still no sign they've detected us," his sensor officer reported. Mark nodded. "Begin Phase 2. The 6 human ships positioned themselves around the station. They had studied Dravik security protocols for weeks. Now they were about to put that knowledge to use. "Transmitting now," the communications officer said. The human ships sent a special signal to the station, a code that identified them as friendly Dravik vessels returning from a secret mission. It was a perfect forgery of authentic Dravik codes, made possible by Professor Allen's breakthrough. The station's docking bays opened. The trap was set. "All teams, prepare for boarding," Mark ordered. "Remember, we need the command center intact." As the Phantom docked with the station, Mark thought about how far they had come. 3 months ago, humans were struggling just to understand Dravik technology. Now they were about to capture the enemy's command center. The boarding teams, dressed in modified Dravik armor, moved quickly through the station. Instead of blasting their way in, they used stealth and deception. By the time the Dravik realized what was happening, it was too late. Mark led the team that stormed the main command center. The Dravik officers were caught completely by surprise. In less than 20 minutes, the entire station was under human control. "Secure all data systems," Mark ordered. "Download everything." A young lieutenant approached him. "Captain, you should see this." The lieutenant led Mark to a secure room at the heart of the station. Inside were detailed plans for the invasion of Earth, but also something far more valuable: the complete command codes for the Dravik fleet. Mark smiled grimly. "Send everything to Professor Allen immediately." On the Stellan homeworld, Allen couldn't believe what he was seeing. The data from the captured command station gave them everything they needed. With these codes, he told Admiral James and General Kate, "We can send commands to any Dravik ship. We can shut down their weapons, change their course, even turn them against each other." James stared at the screens showing the battle near Earth. "Send the codes to Earth Defense Command immediately, and prepare to disrupt the Dravik forces here." For the first time since the war began, they had a clear path to victory. The Dravik, who had seemed invincible just months ago, were about to face humanity's full wrath. The Stellans watched in awe as the humans transformed from desperate defenders into an unstoppable force. They had asked for help against a powerful enemy. Instead, they had unleashed a power that the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity fighting the total war. Supreme Commander Vrock could not believe the reports coming in from across Dravik space. The First Fleet, sent to crush Earth, was in retreat. The Third Fleet was in chaos, its command station captured. And now dozens of Dravik outposts and colonies were reporting attacks by ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. "This cannot be happening," Vrock muttered as he paced the war room in the Imperial Palace. The Dravik Empire had conquered 17 species across 3 galactic sectors. They had never lost a war. Their technology was superior. Their numbers were greater. Their will was stronger. Or so they had thought. "Supreme Commander," his aide said nervously, "we have a priority message from Fleet Master Drav." The large screen on the wall flickered to life. Fleet Master Drav looked exhausted, his gray skin pale with stress. "Supreme Commander," Drav said, bowing his head, "I must report that the attack on Earth has failed. We lost 173 ships. The humans..." He hesitated. "The humans were ready for us. They had weapons we've never seen before." "Impossible," Vrock shouted. "How could a primitive species develop such technology so quickly?" "They adapted our own technology against us," Drav replied. "And they fight like no species we've ever encountered. They do not follow the rules of warfare." "Rules." Vrock spat the word. There are no rules in war except victory. With respect, Supreme Commander, Drav said carefully, the humans seem to believe the same thing. On Earth, President Garcia addressed the Global War Council. The massive chamber was filled with representatives from every nation and colony. The Battle of Earth has been won, she announced to thunderous applause. The Dravik First Fleet has retreated with heavy losses. The applause died down as she continued. But this war is far from over. The Dravik Empire spans dozens of star systems. They still outnumber us. They will regroup and attack again. Defense Minister Patel stood up. Madam President, our intelligence suggests the Dravik are already planning a new offensive. They're gathering their second fleet to reinforce what remains of the first. Garcia nodded. Then we must strike first. Admiral James has sent us the Dravik command codes recovered by Captain Reynolds and his team. With these codes, we can disrupt their communications, confuse their fleets, and target their key installations. Madam President, an older man in the back called out, "What exactly are you proposing?" Garcia's face was grim but determined. "I am proposing that we end this war decisively. The Dravik attacked a peaceful species. They threatened Earth. They would destroy us if given the chance." She paused. "We cannot allow that chance." The council chamber fell silent as everyone understood what she meant. "We will not just defeat the Dravik military," Garcia continued. "We will dismantle their capacity to wage war entirely. We will target their shipyards, their weapons factories, their command centers. We will free the species they've enslaved. We will break the Dravik Empire so thoroughly that it can never threaten peace again." One by one, the council members stood in support. There was no vote needed. Humanity had made its decision. In the Stellan system, Admiral James and General K finalized plans for the final phase of the war. They had assembled the largest human fleet ever seen. Over 500 warships, including the new dreadnoughts built with adapted Dravik technology. "All ships report ready, Admiral," a young officer announced. James nodded. "Signal the fleet. Operation Endgame begins in 1 hour." Ambassador Thorne entered the command center, accompanied by Professor Allen. The Stellan's eyes widened at the sight of the massive human fleet displayed on the main screen. "Is all this necessary?" Thorne asked quietly. "The Dravik are already retreating from our system." General Kate turned to him. "Ambassador, you asked for our help to defend your people. We're doing more than that. We're ensuring the Dravik can never threaten you again." "But such destruction," Thorne began, "is what they would have brought to your worlds," James finished, "and to Earth, if given the chance." Professor Allen placed a hand on Thorne's shoulder. "The Dravik built their empire on conquest and slavery. We're not just fighting for ourselves or the Stellans. We're fighting for every species they've oppressed." Thorne looked at the battle plans, at the hundreds of targets marked across Dravik space. "I never imagined war on this scale. That's why the Dravik underestimated us," Kate said, "and why they're about to lose everything." The human offensive began simultaneously across 50 star systems. Using the captured command codes, they sent false orders to Dravik ships, making them drop shields or jump to wrong coordinates. Stealth squadrons struck key installations before the Dravik even knew they were under attack. On the bridge of the massive dreadnought Retribution, Captain Mark Reynolds led one of the main battle groups directly toward the Dravik homeworld. "Status of enemy defenses?" he asked. "Confused and disorganized, sir," his tactical officer replied. "Our false orders have half their fleet chasing shadows in the wrong sector." Mark nodded. "Commence primary attack." The human fleet moved with precision and purpose. They targeted military installations, shipyards, and command centers. They avoided civilian areas when possible, but nothing of military value was spared. In the Imperial Palace on the Dravik homeworld, Supreme Commander Vrock watched in horror as his empire's defenses collapsed. "How?" he whispered. "How did they do this?" His war minister, face pale with fear, had no answer. A communication officer rushed in. Supreme Commander, the humans are broadcasting on all frequencies. They demand to speak with you. Vrak straightened his uniform. Even in defeat, a Dravik commander had his pride. Put them through. The main screen showed Admiral James Wilson, standing on the bridge of his flagship. Supreme Commander Vrak, James said, his voice calm but firm. Your forces are defeated. Your fleets are scattered. Your defenses have failed. I am offering you one chance to avoid further destruction. You want our surrender, Vrak said bitterly. Unconditional surrender, James corrected. All Dravik military forces will stand down immediately. All conquered worlds will be freed. All slaves will be released. Vrak's hands shook with rage. And if we refuse, then the Dravik Empire will cease to exist. James replied simply. We have the means to reduce your military capacity to nothing. Your choice, Commander. Vrak looked around at his advisors, at the displays showing the human fleets advancing everywhere. For the first time in his life, he knew true defeat. We surrender, he said, the words like poison in his mouth. 6 months later, Admiral James stood on a balcony overlooking the rebuilt capital city of the Stellan homeworld. The blue skies were clear of smoke, and the sounds of construction filled the air. Ambassador Thorn joined him. Our people will never forget what humanity did for us. James nodded. The reconstruction is going well, and the other species formerly under Dravik control, finding their way to freedom. Thorn replied. Some have asked for human guidance. Others prefer to rebuild alone, but all are grateful. And the Galactic Council. Thorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. They are adjusting to humanity's new role in galactic affairs. They fear you, but they also respect you now. James watched as human and Stellan workers rebuilt a fallen tower together. We never wanted to be warriors, he said quietly. Throughout our history, humans have dreamed of peace among the stars. But we learned long ago that peace sometimes must be defended with strength. You brought more than strength, Thorn said. You brought justice. In the distance, a human ship took off, heading back to Earth. The war was over. The Dravik Empire was dismantled, and humanity had proven itself to be both the galaxy's most fearsome warriors and its most loyal allies. Across the stars, civilizations watched and remembered. Those who begged for help received it. Those who threatened humanity faced total war. And in that balance of compassion and strength, a new era of galactic peace began.